So I've been making games for almost 3 years now. I worked on a couple game jams. I took a game development course. I worked on an MVP that I was trying to release within 1 month. That didn't end up working out. I took a break from that, made a few prototypes, went back to that MVP, was trying to flesh it out even more, make a different version of it. Then I ended up taking another break from that project, and now I'm working on another project that I am actually looking to release sometime this year. Man, what a mess, right? It's definitely been a journey, I'll say that. And no journey is a straight line. So what happened and what can we learn from all of this? Well, I put together 3 different things that I feel like I've learned over these last 3 years. 1, find the fun early and figure out your core gameplay loop. This is easier said than done. So one experience that I had with this when I was working on that MVP that I was calling Money Laundry, I was trying to blend management simulator with kind of like a GTA style backdrop where you're trying to launder money, essentially. I created this system I was calling the payroll system, and you had these different people on your payroll. You were trying to make sure that they didn't get put in prison, and in the end, it just wasn't very fun. It kind of felt like a chore. I was trying to make something that would add some tension and kind of some resource management, and the payroll system just didn't really add much to the game. On the flip side, I had another iteration of the game where I was trying to add these tower defense kind of elements to the game. And I had these businesses that could shoot lasers, these laser tag businesses. And it added this whole other kind of battle element to the game. You were fighting the feds, you were trying to fight them off from being able to find you out and take you captive, basically. It was kind of a fun mechanic, but it wasn't necessary. You could avoid it. If you wanted to just keep making your money and you didn't want to engage with those systems, there were ways to just completely circumnavigate them, which meant that it didn't really fit within the core gameplay loop very well, which was also a problem. However, on my latest project, and why I chose to move forward with my latest project, is because even early on, I made a really simple prototype with some bean characters and some circles that you had to steal from them. And it was fun, even from then. The game idea that I have now, it's called Sipssassin. In each level, you have to seek out different drinks, steal them from these NPC characters without getting caught. So really simple game, fun, kind of goofy. And fun fact, you can join the playtest right now if you want to check it out on Steam. I'd love if you join the playtest and wishlisted the game, of course. Number 2, scope creep and feature exploration are actually a double-edged sword. The funny thing with game development in general is that iteration is the name of the game. You take an idea, you iterate on it, you see how that works, playtest, iterate a little bit more, and it's this ever-growing spiral. You're circling around this idea and you're growing it, and it's building and building. But sometimes that can build in ways that you didn't really intend, and it can get kind of lost from the core gameplay that you originally envisioned. And it's really easy to get discouraged at that point and put your game on the shelf and never look at it again, or at least not look at it again for a while. I definitely felt like I got caught in that cycle myself. I feel like one way to combat this is to have kind of a game development compass. A lot of people will use a game development document. A game design document, actually. A GDD will give some pillars of what your game is supposed to be, and it'll kind of keep you from deviating too far away from your core concept. So that can be really helpful. I don't feel like you always need a full-fledged GDD. I know a lot of people use it, a lot of people don't. A lot of people say you should use it. I think whatever works for you, as long as you're able to find, true north on the compass, essentially. One really great video, actually, a really great resource, I'll link it below, is Jonas Tie Roller. He came out with a really, really great video just talking about exploring as a game dev, trying to find the waters that are the most lucrative for releasing your game into. I feel like that's why a lot of people say to make small games, so that you can learn how to rein in that scope. That's kind of the mentality I'm trying to go into Sipssassin, this next game that I'm making. Just thinking, what's my deadline for this one? And how big can I actually make this game? If it's a small game, great, that's fine. I can work on another game after that, and I'll just price accordingly. I want to be doing this for the long haul, so it's all right if I make one small game here, one small game there, and just keep building from there. And that leads us to number 3. Just looking back at everything, I feel like I've learned that game dev is an overarching skill. It's something that you learn as you go and as you continue to practice. The skills that you learn are transferable as well. As you work on one prototype or game, you can take a lot of the things, even the scripts and some of the assets that you use from a game, and bring them into the next one. Especially if you're going to keep going with a consistent art style. That's actually one kind of cool thing that I feel like I've started to develop over the years, is an art style that I'm really enjoying at the moment. And it'll make it so that I have a more beefy library the further I go in on creating different assets and everything, which is cool. I think it's important to also say, if you find yourself in that loop where you're constantly making different prototypes and you're not sure what the next big game should be for you, the one that you actually want to finish and bring to market, don't beat yourself up over that. You're learning as you go, and even if you have a project that you're not finishing, just look at it as more of a learning experience, and the next project, the next prototype that you work on will just be that much better in the end. I will say that with a little bit of an asterisk though, I do feel like, of course, finishing games is a skill as well. I've really only had experience with one game that I finished, and that was for the Lost Relic Game Jam. It's called CEO. And I consider that one a finished game because it actually has endings. Imagine that, right? A game with endings. The experience from shipping that game was definitely a really cool one. I mean, it was just to itch.io. Now I'm learning a whole new animal working in Steam and trying to release a game there. But there's a first time for everything. And one thing I do want to say too, I was really encouraged. There's a video by Thomas Stewart, and he talks about finishing games and how learning that skill of actually finishing a game was really valuable. Even if you make like your first game and it's something that's been made before, something super, super simple, something that you can make in about a month and just put it out on some Play Store, whether that be itch.io or Android or iOS or Steam. The value in learning how to actually finish and release a game is really, really important as well. Another encouraging word I would say is focus on the journey and the process, not the outcome. Of course, we all want a good outcome in the end. We want to invest in making great games, and we want everyone to love them. We want everyone to play them. Of course, I want that. And you got to fall in love with the process, because this is something that is more than just one game that you're making. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't just make one game and quit, but if you're actually wanting to do this for the long haul, it's really important to focus on the right things. And focusing on the process and honing that process will only make the outcome that much better at some point down the line. At least that's the hope, right? So yeah, I'll leave you with just a few things here. If you want to continue to watch my journey and my process, you can join the playtest for Sipssassin on Steam right now. You could also wishlist the game, would love that. You can join my Discord. I just launched a brand new Discord. I'd love to chat with you further about YouTube, about game development, about Sipssassin. Anything that you want to talk about would be really cool to have you join my Discord. Also, I would love if you would subscribe to the channel, follow along here on YouTube. I'm going to be posting more videos soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.